We started Smarter in absolutely the worst possible economic climate we have known since the Great Depression. Full stop. You know, we launched the business right in the maelstrom of the banks falling apart, of businesses going to the wall. And for sure, we had many challenges that we didn't anticipate as a result of that, including funding for the business. And suddenly our funding went from, you know, X to kind of like P. There was quite a big gap between the two. But as true entrepreneurs, we had no choice but to figure out how we were going to make that work. Now, we were very lucky to have some really great cornerstone investors, which included Michael Birch, who was the founder of Bebo, and we had the support of NatWest and other corporate partners like Intuit, which meant that we were able to stand on the shoulders of giants in a really difficult, challenging environment. That said, it was also the best time to start Smarter, because all of a sudden people had no choice but to set up their own businesses. They suddenly found themselves redundant or unemployed, or they were leaving university and there were simply no jobs available. And they actually had no other option other than to go out there and set up their own business. When you're passionate about something and you really truly believe in what you're doing, not only do you not mind asking everybody for help, but you actually willingly go out there recruiting people to help you. I mean, Theo refers to it as I stalked him for 2 years. And I'm quite happy to admit that I did, because I would not give up, because I knew that what Theo could bring to Smarter was worth all the time and effort that it took stalking him for 2 years. You know, we laugh about it now, but that was, I think, one of the things and one of the reasons why he did support Smarter, was because he knew that I was serious about it. I wasn't going to give up, and that actually anybody and everybody that I'd ever worked with, I got on board to help us. And suddenly what you had was almost, it had became a life of its own. And we were so lucky to have so many entrepreneurs come and support us at our launch and participate with videos and case studies and guides and in the forums and in the Q&As, because they believe in what we're doing too. Deborah and Theo are very much at the forefront of the whole small business sector. They are the ones that small businesses look up to. They are the ones that small businesses contact and email for questions. I mean, they cannot walk down a street without somebody coming up to them and telling them that either they have a great idea for a business or they're running a business and this is happening, what advice would they give? So actually, their combined expertise, not just of running their own businesses or of being on Dragon's Den and the investments that they've made, but actually just the day-to-day contact that they have with hundreds of small businesses across the country has proved invaluable for us. So I find this whole question about being a woman in business really interesting, because I have to be honest, from my experience, it has been nothing but an advantage. And I've worked in some of the most male-dominated industries known to mankind. I mean, the world of boxing, the only other women are the ring card girls who walk around telling you which round it is. So when I started, everybody dismissed me, and you know, I would sit in meetings, and to be honest, most people didn't even acknowledge that I was even in the room. I didn't care less. It meant that I was able to read the contracts upside down. I was able to pay attention to things that nobody else, you know, was listening to. I was able to probably glean information that if they'd taken me seriously, they would have never made readily available in my eyesight. Because both Chris Eubank and his promoter Barry Hearn took me seriously. And the fact that nobody else did was irrelevant. It didn't bother me. We use it to our advantage. And I've always found that being a woman in business means that typically you're the only woman in a room negotiating. That's a good thing, because it means you're going to be remembered. So as long as you're doing your job well, you're going to be remembered more than the 10 men around the room, because you're the only woman. I think I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, maybe because I've always been the type of person that, thinks I know best and think I have a better way of doing something. And I'm sure that I often don't have, but I certainly feel like I do. So even at school, I was always trying to find a different way of doing things. And ultimately, I think I'm probably totally and utterly unemployable because I'm too opinionated. I can't really keep quiet when I have an opinion. And also, all joking aside, I love actually making stuff happen. I love actually taking something as an idea and turning that idea into reality. Are entrepreneurs born or are they made? Wow, that's the billion-dollar question. Both. I think for sure there are some people who just have that gene in them, and the entrepreneurial gene may mean they turn into somebody who runs their own business. It may mean that they run divisions within larger corporations. It may mean that they become great musicians or great athletes or great artists, because what they have in them is this burning desire, a passion to do whatever it is that they are passionate about, and that's more important to them than the career path or the one-off financial remuneration that they might get by going down this route instead of that route. They know what they want to do and they're going to do it. And that is the natural entrepreneur. I do think, though, that entrepreneurs can be nurtured, because you can take somebody who has that creativity and that flair and that innovation. You can take somebody who's a great innovator, for example, or an inventor, and you can take that aspect of them and nurture them into becoming a great entrepreneur and business person as well. I mean, I look at my own son, and it's absolutely apparent that he is a natural entrepreneur. He has a higher propensity than most to take risks, and partly that's also his age, but he negotiates naturally on absolutely everything you can possibly imagine, and there might be my bad example. But I think children also, it's not just him. Across his year, you see them being much more intrigued by the world and wanting to find solutions to problems. And I think those are the natural traits on entrepreneurs. So maybe if we started with a younger generation, nurturing those natural traits, we would have more entrepreneurs and small business owners.